Time. All of us here today have something in common. Something that motivates, pushes us, and keeps the flame alive in us. The same flame that made you to be here today, and the same flame that convinced me to compete on this stage. And that there is no other than passion. Passion is the driving force for motivating and pushing us to become better coffee professionals and to elevate our coffee skills. But if we want this industry to thrive, we need to share our knowledge with people and to show them how to expand their skills in order to develop this specialty coffee industry. So, in the next 15 minutes, I will be sharing with you techniques that I have implemented in order to get the best flavors out of this coffee. My goal is not only to introduce them to you, but also to empower every barista out there so they can easily use them and deliver a unique coffee experience to their customers. So, let's get started. In all three courses, I will serve you a geisha variety, natural process from Micava coffee in Rizalda region of Colombia. Paul Doyle, the owner of the farm, produces these geisha cherries at the altitude of 2,000 meters in the foothills of an extinct volcano. The rich volcanic soil and the high altitude help the cherries to mature slowly, resulting in a higher concentration of sugars and acids. Now, follow me to the coffee processing journey. This image here is the same with the cards in front of you, so you can take a look. When they collect the cherries in the optimum ripeness level of 20 bricks, he places them in closed tanks and pressurizes them with CO2 to start a 24-hour carbonic maceration. Inside the anaerobic environment, lactobacillus bacteria have started to grow and consumed sugars from the fruit and transformed them into lactic acids. It is here where this vibrant malic acidity and these juicy flavors like passion fruit and pineapple have been developed. Paul, as a passionate coffee producer, has developed a new technique for drying this coffee. First, he places the cherries under the sun for a rapid initial dehydration. This is followed by a shade drying on raised bed to slow down the drying process and to stabilize the moisture level of the cherries. Paul calls this solar aerobic slow dry. This technique gave to my espresso a higher sweetness and a more round, juicy body, which also what I really loved about this coffee and stood out for me. As you saw, I extracted my signature drink doses and leave them to cool down so they can easily open up all these beautiful flavors. And now, let's start our course with espresso and let me introduce you my first technique for today, which is this vice distributor tool. This tool is designed to break down the clumps from the grinder and help the coffee to degas. Additionally, by stirring it, it distributes evenly the ground coffee from top to bottom and side to side, resulting in a more consistent extraction. Also, it helps the replicability of the espressos and highlights that silky texture and that pineapple note in your cup. As we know, during extraction, we lose a lot of aromatic volatiles in the air. So we need a way to capture and keep them in the cup. In the last few years, we have seen different silk techniques, but this one, it's easier for the baristas to use it and highlights perfectly my Micava's flavor. I call it frozen yield technique. I keep the cups in the freezer for 30 minutes to minus 15 degrees to be sure that the porcelain will have the ideal temperature of 3 degrees. Then I extract my espressos directly to the frozen cups. Cooling rapidly the espressos results in a greater concentration of volatile compounds and enhance my Micava's flavors like cherry and passion fruit. Also, this process elevates the tactile of the coffee and gives us a more velvety texture. The recipe that I'm using is 22 grams in, 40 grams out at 93 degrees. Because here I found the best tactile experience, balance on flavors, and high quality of sweetness. When I will serve you, evaluate only the crema. Now, write down a few notes. For your taste descriptors, you will get pineapple, passion fruit, and cherry. The finish is sweet and long, like a grapefruit. In tactile, you will have a medium weight, velvety texture on your first sip, which turns to silky on your second sip. Please use the spoon provided and gently stir 6 times back and front. This will homogenize the liquid properly and ensures suitable temperature for all of you to enjoy this delicious beverage. When you do, place the U-spoon on the shot glass in front of you. Go ahead, enjoy it. Okay, so now let's move on to my milk beverage. In order to highlight the fruity flavors that you tasted in the espresso course, I created the evaporated milk procedure in collaboration with Mevgal Milk Company in northern Greece. So, how does it work? I place a jug of 1 liter of full-fat cow milk in this tank full of water. Then I supply heat through this sous vide at 80 degrees for 20 minutes. The milk loses 20% of water content and condensed the sugars, fats, and proteins. This increases the sweetness and the texture of the milk and highlights that cherry note and that creaminess on your milk beverage. Then I keep it in the fridge overnight to stabilize the cold temperature at 3 degrees. Now, write down a few notes. On your taste descriptors, you will get cherry, caramel toffee, and butter biscuits. The finish is sweet and coating like a melted caramel ice cream. The recipe that I'm using is 22 grams in, 38 grams out. Please, enjoy it. For this course, I found that grinding my coffee finer intensifies the tactile of the coffee, which combined with this milk, which is steamed at 50 degrees, it highlights that toffee caramel note and that creaminess that will remind you of a melted caramel ice cream. Enjoy it. I'm serving you 90 ml drink with 1 part espresso and 3 parts of milk. In order to highlight the fruity flavors and the acids from the beans, I found the best result by roasting this coffee 15 days ago by an end temperature of 207 degrees. Enjoy it. After first crack, I lower the gas heat until to reach 12% of development, ensuring high sweetness and solubility of the beans. Enjoy it. So, as you saw in the previous courses, techniques had a massive impact in my macavas flavor. So for my signature, I want to show you how simple techniques can interact with different ingredients and elevate the flavor profile. My first ingredient is a lacto-fermented solar aerobic slow dry raspberry. To prepare this, I added 100 grams of raspberries with 2% of salt in a sealed bag in a room temperature. Lactobacillus bacteria consume sugars from the fruit and transform them into lactic acids, the same acids that we found in our fermentation tank back in the farm. After 5 days, I opened the bag and placed them on raised beds with a shade cloth under the sun for 3 days. This slow drying phase dehydrated naturally and concentrated the sugars from the fruit, just like Paul dried this geisha back in the farm. Then I squeezed and strained them, and the result is this natural raspberry juice, and I add 20 grams of this. I chose raspberries because their natural juicy acidity complements perfectly the pineapple note from your espresso and transforms it into a new flavor of cherry. My next ingredient is an evaporated palm sugar syrup. Using the same technique from my milk beverage, 5 minutes ago I placed this glass in the hot water in order to prepare a palm sugar syrup with a ratio 1 part of sugar and 1 part of water. In palm sugar, I found the best natural sweetness that can bring back the sugars from the raspberries that dissipated during the fermentation. In order to support the synergy of the drink and to emphasize some of the original sweetness of this geisha, I added 10 grams and will create a new flavor of raisins. My next two ingredients are bioproducts for my coffee itself. First one is a coffee zaccharum, which I prepared it using oleozaccharum technique, combining citrus pills with sugar, but this one is applied with coffee packs. During my routines, I kept the leftover coffee packs and mix 100 grams of it with equal parts of demerara sugar and leave it for 8 hours in a room temperature. Sugar starts to absorb coffee oils and acids and forming a paste. Then I added equal parts of water in order to dilute it, and then I filtered it through this paper filter to clarify it. The result is this zero waste, sweet and sour coffee zaccharum, which reminds me the sweet malic acidity from my coffee and complements perfectly the passion fruit note from your espresso and transform it into a new flavor of red grape. I added 10 grams. My next one is a cold brew coffee chaff. After roasting my coffee, I added 1 part of coffee chaff with 10 parts of water in this cold brew device and immerse it for 8 hours in a room temperature. This cold brew coffee chaff will complement the fruitiness of the espresso and will give depth and complex to the drink, and I added 10 grams and will create a new flavor of salted caramel. And of course, my 2 double shots, extracted with the same recipe as I did with my espressos. All the recipes about my ingredients are there in your menus. Next, I flash them all together with nitrogen in order to emphasize the creamy texture on your cup. The drink will be warm and served into cold cups the same way as I did with my espressos in order to elevate the sensory characteristics. Now, write down a few notes. On your taste descriptors, you will get cherry, red grape, raisins, and salted caramel, with a creamy texture and a long finish like a caramel. When I will serve you, don't drink it yet and wait until I call my time. When I do, swirl 5 times before each sip. Dear judges, nowadays we witness roasters, producers, and baristas using different techniques to elevate the flavor profile of their coffee. I'm looking forward on what this future holds, because techniques are really important on what we do. But passion and dedication is the meaning of why we do this. Please enjoy it. Thank you. Time.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Nikos, Antzaras,